If you want to market your business successfully online in 2019 and going forward, you need to be creating incredible content. You need a content strategy in place. If you want to build your brand, you want to build an audience, you want to get more leads, you want to get more sales, it's not okay just to put promotional salesy messages out to people. The old way of advertising is dead, and we need to start thinking about how can we provide value to build trust with our audience through content. Now, with that in mind, you might be thinking, well, how do I come up with content ideas? What kind of content should I be creating? And that's exactly what we're going to be covering in this video today. So what I'm going to do is walk you over to the whiteboard over here, and we're going to talk about, first of all, how do we create our initial content ideas? And then through the video, we're going to share with you the strategies you can use to cut that content into smaller pieces of content so you can start creating viral content that generates leads and generates sales. So let's head over to the whiteboard. Every single time I look at a Facebook page from someone that wants me to audit their page, I always find that people struggle to create the right kind of content, and businesses end up just creating content for the sake of creating content, not for a particular reason to drive leads or to drive sales. So let's talk about how to create content that actually does that actually has a positive impact on your business. So, content.
So before we go any further, let me just stop this here, as what you're about to witness is something truly hilarious, and you may be wondering why Gav will not be using a whiteboard for the rest of this video. So yeah, enjoy.
Ideas. Now, the simplest way. Well, that was a total and utter failure, so let's go to the iPad instead and talk about it here. I look into so many different Facebook pages and so many different ad accounts, and they always come to me saying the same thing. Gav, we've tried ads and it just doesn't seem to be working. Or Gav, we're trying to post this stuff on Facebook, but we're not getting anything back in return. And I can almost guarantee, before I even look into that account or the Facebook page, what they're doing wrong. And what they're typically doing is just sharing promotional messages, hoping that people will start to buy, or they're just talking about themselves. Here's the award that we won. Here's our opening hours. Here's what somebody said about us. Here's a picture of something that we did. It's all stuff that only people that already know the brand would care about. And what we need to do is flip it and start to say, who are we actually targeting and what type of content do they want to see? Because what we share on social is about the consumer and it's not about us. So let's look into my iPad here and think about how we can come up with content ideas. So first of all, content ideas. What we really want to be thinking, the number one thing that we want to think about is what questions are we asked most often? So what questions? Now, if you're a business that's been running for a while, you probably face customer phone calls and emails all the time, and you'll probably find that those questions are always the same thing. One of the things that I get all the time is, how much do Facebook ads cost? So if I'm answering that question all the time via email and phone, why don't I just create a video on it, a 2-minute video on it, talking about it, and upload that to YouTube, or have it on my site, or just have it somewhere that I can send to the client, so whenever they ask me that question, I save time, copy, paste, send it to them. So what questions are you asked all the time? I guarantee you'll be able to create 50 to 100 different questions that you get asked all the time. It might be top 10 people in your industry. It might be, if you're in the software space, it might be software 1 versus software 2. If you're a local business, you can start talking about, perhaps you're a restaurant, and maybe you get asked who are the best coffee shops in your local area. That's your title. What's the best coffee shop in? We need to start thinking about the consumer. What does the consumer want to consume? And you have to create that. And by you creating this content that's for the consumer, what will happen is they'll start to like it, they'll start to comment on it, and they'll start to share it with their friends that are relevant. And yes, perhaps you might get less views. For example, I used to create Scottish-based content and we would get hundreds of thousands of views on our videos, but it wasn't driving leads, it wasn't driving sales. Now that we're creating more business-related content, we get less views, but we get more leads and we get more sales. So with this in mind, don't always think about the number of views, the number number of subscribers, because it's better to have a more relevant audience than an audience that isn't relevant to you. The next step in all of this is putting that questions, those problems, those things that you're solving into an actual plan, a calendar. So what we like to do is we like to call that big content, the questions that we're answering, the problems that we're solving, that's our pillar content. And what we like to do is we put that all into Basecamp, which is a tool that we use. I'm going to jump into my screen right now and show you that. We put it into Basecamp and then we start to plan out the content and when we're going to film it and when we're going to post it. Like I said before, we should be able to come up with around 50 to 100 different questions or different problems that our customers face that we can solve in our video content. And what I like to do is stick them all into a spreadsheet. So it might be, how much do Facebook ads cost? What's the best type of Facebook ads? All these different questions. You should have come up with 50 to 100. Now that is your content bank. That's your content library where whenever you have an idea, whenever you get asked a new question, whenever you see something performing particularly well that you want to create about, you put it into your content library. And then we use Basecamp to keep in track of what content we're actually creating and when we're creating it, but you can use something else. And what we simply do is we just go week commencing 11th of February, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And what we do is we'll go, right, on this day we're posting how much do Facebook ads cost. On this day we're posting what's the best type of Facebook ad. And it means that when we log into our computers on Monday, we know which videos are going out. We'll then look at this video here. We might change the title. We'll do the YouTube description. We'll plan that piece of content out so we know on Wednesday evening that video is going out and everything is already set. We've already planned the keywords. We've already planned the description, the title. Everything is planned. So that is how to create your pillar content. But your pillar content isn't actually the most important part. Well, arguably it is the most important part of your content strategy, but there's something else that's even cooler and can get even better results. Now, what we've just planned out is our pillar content. And those are the main types of content that you're going to create every single week. Now that might be a show, that might just be answering questions, that might just be solving problems. That's the main, that might be like 10-minute long videos that you're going to start creating every single week. Now, those 10-minute videos are going to have some nuggets, some snippets in there that are actually really beneficial on their own. So what we want to do is to start creating micro content. Now that micro content, if we have a 10-minute video like this, let's say this part here where I'm talking specifically about, maybe this whole video is about how much Facebook ads cost. But in this little snippet here, I talk about the cost of video. Now that's a video on its own. So rather than just leaving it as part of that 10-minute video, we edit it out and we use that as a piece of content on its own, thus giving us two pieces of content for the price of one. Now, if we want to get even more content from this video, what we can do is we can strip the 10-minute video into an audio file. So just take the audio of that and remove the video. That can be a podcast. And then we can take that audio file and we can turn it into writing. We can turn it into a blog by getting someone to transcribe it, or you can transcribe it yourself. And then what we can do is we can take 15-second videos from here and turn that into Instagram stories. And we might get 15-second videos from here for Instagram stories. And then we can also take 2-minute 20 videos and add that to Twitter and add that to LinkedIn. And we can also take our blog and our writing and add it to LinkedIn. And we can also add it to Medium. So all of a sudden, from one piece of content, you now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus pieces of content from that one initial piece. Which means if you're a business owner and you're probably struggling for time, this is the most efficient way to create content. And it means because you're answering questions that you get asked all the time, you know you're creating the right type of content. And you start to create this content, add it to your site regularly, add it to your YouTube channel, you're going to start to build a bank, you're going to start to build a resource. That means whenever someone types anything onto Google, whenever anyone asks somebody for help or a question, they're going to think of you. Because you've put in the effort of creating all this incredible content, you start to build an audience, and when you've got that audience, all it takes is a retargeting ad, an email list, or something to prompt people to buy. And that is how advertising is working now. Rather than just being able to put a promotional message in front of somebody and get them to buy, it doesn't work anymore. We need to put content out there, we need to provide value, we need to build trust before we ask people for the sale. If you have any questions regarding anything I've covered today, maybe you need help with your own content strategy, coming up with content ideas, or you've got any general thoughts about the whole thing, please leave a comment below. I will get back to you on that, or you can jump into our free Facebook group and ask any questions in there, and either me or one of the team or one of the members in that group will get back to you with some feedback and support. If you drop a like on this video, I'll massively appreciate it. Share it with someone that needs to see it. And as always, have fun, be happy, and I'll see you next time.